Good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Burglar Report, your number one choice for news, politics, and occultic information. I, of course, am your seafaring captain and host, Dave Steppenwolf. In today's segment, we're going to get into some pretty interesting information. Now, I don't normally cover politics, and, the hearing in Michigan didn't disappoint. A little weird. I think Trump still got a chance. But we're not talking about that today. Today we're going to get into maritime law. Now that's a subject most people are not familiar with. Some people are. It has to do with the sovereign citizen deal nonsense. Talk more about that. Anyways, you might want to like and subscribe if you're watching this. This is some interesting information. I got a lot of it in my head. So, what is maritime law, you ask? Good question. Well, let's go over a little bit of history. Roman Empire essentially said there's two things out there, land and sea. So because of that, there's two basic laws: law of the land, law of the sea. Now, the law of the land is the law of people, law of culture, and the law of the land, geography, right? Maybe, for instance, out here in Southern California, wintertime, 60 degrees, you can do things here that you can't do in Alaska in their wintertime at probably negative 60 degrees below zero, for obvious reasons. In our country, United States, you can do things in the United States you can't do in China, or vice versa, or in Saudi Arabia, or in Africa, or Australia. Different countries, different people, different lands have different rules. You got to respect the law of the land. There's an old saying in the Wild Wild West, it's the law of the land, baby. Anyways, now the law of the sea historically dealt with trade and commerce, the high seas, pirates, and today it's essentially the same thing. It's the law of money, or the law of banking. Now, in the United States, we had a bit of a crisis with the Civil War, and a lot of it, unbeknownst to mainline history, was because of trade issues. There was definitely some unfair economic advantages of the North in taxes and tariffs and all that stuff put on the South. Slavery was a part of it. It was a big part of the war, but the bigger part was the cause that people rise up was economics. So, what happened afterwards? Well, the U.S. government talked about, we can't have this happen again. You can't have people killing each other. That was a pretty big fucking deal. I think it was like 1 million people died. Something like that. My numbers are off. Whatever. So how do we get around this? Well, in 1871, Washington, D.C., in the United States, was incorporated. Became a corporation. And just prior to that, 1868, I believe, was the 14th Amendment, where the U.S. citizen became a thing. Before, we're essentially a collection of countries, like the European Union. Like when George Washington would write about his country, he was talking about Virginia. That's where he was a Virginia state citizen, and that's pretty much how things were back then. You would travel to different states, and they had their own legislators, their own representatives, their own everything. So, let's see. So where does that fit in with maritime law? Well, because of the different advantages in the different states, different economic advantages, you want to have uniformity across the board. For instance, California, New York, all these coastal states that have access to the sea have more economic advantages, while more landlocked states, like areas with plantations like Georgia, those states that are whatever, they don't have the same advantages. So what they did was they raised the watermark, essentially the sea level, up to roughly 6,800 feet. I don't know, and so that created uniform laws across the board. And these are all money banking laws. And if you notice, if you have any official banking documents, any court papers, birth certificates, they have watermarks. Your checkbook has watermarks. Checkbook has a lot of things. just throw this out there before I get too far off, this will get sidetracked. There's this old sayings of read the fine print, sign the dotted line. Well, the dotted line is the fine print. Look on your checkbook. It's not a solid line underneath where you sign. It is. It looks like you look closer. There's a bunch of dots. You look closer. There's words there. Any legal document you think there's like a dotted line border, those are words. It's fucking weird. Go check it out. Okay. Anyways, so this maritime law was established, and that's pretty much the entire jurisdiction of the federal government was to control maritime law. Was because with the work with corporations or banks or whatever and control trade and commerce, that's essentially what all that is. Now, because the United States became a corporation, and the U.S. citizen also became a corporation. A lot of people don't understand that there are two yous out there. There's you, the person, and there's you, the corporation. And if you also notice on any legal document you have, whether it be a bill in the mail, utility bills, like I said, birth certificate, any type of registration, that name is going to be in all caps. That represents you as a corporation. Just stay with me on this one. Any paper that you fill out when you have your capital, first letter's capital, capitals and lower cases, how you fill out your name, that's you as the person. Totally different under maritime law. And that's part of the U.S. citizenship. You have, there's two of everything. It sounds bizarre if you're the first time hearing this. You have the United States, and you have the United States of America, which are the 50 states together. The United States itself is a corporation. There's two states. I'm out here in California. You have California State, the state of California. California State is the physical state with dirt and borders and land. The state of California is essentially the legislator, the laws. It's the corporation side of it. It's a legal fiction. That's what a corporation essentially is, a legal fiction. Now you're like, okay, Mr. Dave, this is bizarre. I've never heard this before. Yeah, well, nobody ever heard this before. It's not important. What's important is sports and movies and fucking Netflix series. You know what I'm saying? That's what's important. My team's not winning. I don't give a shit. No, this is actually, it's not top secret information, but it's more PhD level information that it's not really widely discussed. There's been a bit of a movement as far as sovereign citizenship, but I think that kind of just floundered because there's a lot of benefits of being a corporation in the United States. You're essentially part of a corporation and you reap the benefits of the corporation. I mean, back before the United States was incorporated or citizens were incorporated, you had debtor's jail, debtor's prison. Now you have limited liability, where you can declare bankruptcy, and I'm no longer liable for my debt. There's different benefits. There's also essentially taxes that come along with it. Pretty weird. But like I said, think about, if you want to understand something, you got to look to the root of the word. You look to the etymology. You got to understand that this all has to do with, maritime law has to do with shipping, right? When you get in packages, they ship them to you. When you're starting a business, you have a partnership, you have a friendship, you have citizenship. If the word has to do with maritime law. You don't think of it that way, but it's exactly what it is. You're dating somebody, it's a courtship. And when you get married, your wife, your husband becomes your partner. It's partner because you become a legal business together. That's why you need to get a license. You get a license for a business, you get a license to get married. It's fucking, there's little tricks and you get a driver's license. What's a driver's license for? A driver's license was started to tax the big rigs, the big 18-wheelers that were messing up the road, and then for whatever reason, I don't know, is passed on to normal citizens. The word driver is a legal term. If you're a driver, you're making money. Under the U.S. Constitution, we have the right to travel. You're traveling to your in-laws' house for the holidays. You're traveling to work. You're not driving. Driving, by legal definition, says you're making money. You look at your, like say in your glove compartment, it's a vehicle operator's manual. You're a vehicle operator. You're not a driver. Driver, whatever. You get what I'm saying. There's all kinds of little legal terms that has to do with the definition of the word. Same thing with money. And as I was saying, how does nature control a river? Nature controls the flow of the current of the river through banks, river banks. How do we control money? The flow of money, the flow of the currency, is controlled by banks. It's the same thing. They say money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water. When you're looking at somebody's net worth, you're looking at hard assets, which is real estate, whatever, and you look at liquid assets, which is your bank accounts. It's all liquidated, liquid assets. Very interesting stuff to look into. You know, this is, I mean, it's probably hard to follow. Maybe it's just all coming off the top of my head. This is what I do. I memorize. I just think of a lot of stuff, and I just make a video, uncut, raw. I probably should edit some stuff at some point, but this is what I like to do. But look into it. It's pretty. It's I mean, it's essentially it was a way to circumnavigate the law of the land. You gotta have a way to have fair laws across the border for everyone, and there are pros and cons. And I don't know if there's a way to actually be a sovereign citizen or a. I think there was a case in '93. I forget the name of the case. Where a judge outlined state citizenship versus U.S. citizenship, and apparently there's a difference. And under U.S. citizenship, there's articles that were put into the Constitution. I want to say Article 42, 43, I don't know, to where you have similar rights to the Bill of Rights, but you don't have access to the Bill of Rights. That's why so many people are in jail. That's why so many people get locked up so quickly, because they don't know what's going on. And I wouldn't argue with the judge trying to throw this lingo out here, because you're going to get yourself put in jail anyways. But it's something kind of food for thought, very interesting. But if you like it, let me know. In any case, I guess that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow, and thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I did start making TikToks, but whatever. TikTok, dig talk. You know what the kids say? All right. Have a good night.